Crystal, it's Brandon, obviously, I hope, out here at your pond. I'm going to take a few minutes to go through everything I did, talk about the chemicals that I brought, how to dose with them, a couple other things that I noticed. First thing that I wanted to start with is the plants. You've got a bunch of water hyacinth right here, and they're doing a great job. And they are shading this pond and soaking up the nutrients that the algae would use. I moved some up here. Not too many because they would just get pushed down the stream or block the stream, and then we would lose water out of the stream, so we don't want that. I took all of the water lilies out of the middle pond and moved everything down to the bottom. So you had a lot of really pretty pink flowers in the middle pond. That's this lily and this lily. And what it was one lily that was so overgrown it had jumped out of the pot. So I've got a separate pot that I brought with me that's there, and then your original pot is there. Fertilized both of them. The leaves are under the water. They'll pop up in a couple of days. And I put them really deep because they're very, very well-grown plants. There's a lot to them, so they will do well down there. Small lily. These were kind of spread out over here. I clustered them together here and left one over here. So you'll get the water lily coverage, and then you've still got a couple over there mixed in with the lettuce and the hyacinth. And that hyacinth is another reason why I didn't move the hyacinth from up above down here, because it doesn't look very good. So there's something about down here that the hyacinth don't love, but the lettuce are doing great. So we're sticking with the lettuce, keeping the hyacinth up there in number 2 and number 1. So that's it for your plants. Now on to the products. The one that I know you're the most excited about is called Green Clean, and it's that. And it is just a powder, and you can take any cup or measuring device. You can put gloves on. It's not gonna hurt you, but I put gloves on to dose with it. And then find some algae that you don't want. Like here's some we don't want, so we just sprinkle and cover it. Ooh, here's some algae we don't want. Sprinkle. I'd like to apologize ahead of time. This video is going to be really long, but it's going to have a lot of information that you're going to love. Get rid of that algae. Some more over here. If you put enough in, it'll drop into the water and get the algae that's on the rocks. Algae, gone. That's it. That's all you do. Whenever you see too much algae, grab your cup, pop the lid, sprinkle it on. You have to be prepared for it to kill the algae. So this is some that I didn't treat because it looks great. That's really pretty. So I left that alone. But that's what it looked like beforehand. And this is what it looks like after about 15 minutes. It gets really foamy and fuzzy. And that is the Green Clean going to work on it. So this is all going to be dead in a little bit. I will hose this off before I leave. That's the good news. The bad news is it might make the skimmers kind of clogged, so you'll want to check your skimmer baskets later to see if they need to get cleaned out. But I've treated all of this, all of that. Little pocket up there, some there, all of this, and then some all the way up in the top pond. Treated all that, so we should be able to get rid of all of that. So that's great. Number 2. Once that algae dies, it's going to create a lot of nutrients in the water because it's going to die and end up down there, and it's going to decompose and it's going to feed more algae. So we want to get rid of the algae that's on the bottom that's dead with this bacteria. You'll dose with this every month. You can turn it around and see 8 ounces. Treats, 3,000 gallons. You have 18,000 gallons. So you need 6 times that amount, or 48 ounces. I'll leave this cup here. So 2 of these next month, and you'll be good to go. And then the following month after that, you should be good to go. And I think at that point you'll be out, and that'll be okay because the season will be winding down. But this is the stuff that you're going to dose with that's going to help control the algae. It's going to help keep the muck off the bottom. There is a lot of dirt and stuff in the bottom. Before I showed up today, your water was really clear. So I don't want to mess with it too much. It's really pretty. The fish are happy. Plants are doing well. But something to be concerned, or to consider for the future You know, if you look in your pond right along here where I've been stepping, you can see black liner. And then down below, it's very fuzzy. I know you can't see it on the video, but when you get home, you can see it's very, very fuzzy and you can barely see any wrinkles in the liner. And that's just a heavy layer of sediment and dirt and decomposing plant material. If you're getting bored yet, you have to stay till the end because the most important thing is coming all the way at the end of this video. I know you're not getting bored because this is such a great pond anyway. So we may want to clean that out at some point in the future. I'm not going to worry about it today. Don't want to mess anything up, or don't want to disturb anything because it's all doing really, really well. Here's one that's very, very important. I didn't realize how important this is until today. This is the dechlorinator. And this is going to break apart the chloramine that is in the city water. You can't just let it sit for a couple of days and it's okay, because the chloramine keeps it in for a month. So we want to dose with this, and this will break that bond and get rid of the chlorine and the ammonia. So it's really, really important. I dosed with this, I can't remember right now, but I'll send in my email later. I dosed quite a bit with this just to get us caught up. So how much of this do we use? 1 cup treats 480 gallons. Obviously you've got 18,000 gallons, so you've got a lot more than 500 gallons every time you want to dose it. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to that'll be a funny part of the video later. I just stepped on a really big thorn that went straight through my shoe into my foot. Yeah, that'll be funny to watch. That'll be our viral video. Anyway, so I'm going to measure the pond, length by width, figure out square feet of surface area, and then multiply that times 6 for 6 cubic feet per, 6 gallons per cubic foot of water. So once we know surface area, we multiply times 1 to get a depth of 1 for 1 cubic foot, and then times 6 will give us the volume of this top foot of water. And then we'll divide that by 12, so we know how much is in every inch. So then you're going to watch it in our next test to see how many inches of water we need to add and how frequently. I turned off the autofill because it was running constantly. The way I did that is, we've got in this skimmer, that's your float that runs the autofill. Right beside it, there's this valve. If I open it, you can see water coming in. When this float, when it fills up enough, that float will shut the water off. It will never stop running, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I turned it off, and we're going to leave it off. And I put a ruler in. When you get home, actually tomorrow some point, there is a purple plastic ruler right there. I put it in 20 or 30 minutes ago, and it was almost to the top. So it was almost all the way to the 12-inch mark. And it is already at 11¼ inches. So we've lost 1/4 of an inch of water out of the pond, which is going to be a lot of gallons. Why are we losing so much water? Great question. Let me show you. While I was walking around, I noticed this. We've got on this side of the stream, if you walk along here, this is where this rock is of concern because the water level here, and you can see it much easier in person than you can on this video, but the water level right there is the same as the ground level, or just above it on the outside. And anytime the water is above the ground on the outside, it's going to be a potential for a leak. So I stood here and looked, and where my foot is now is a swamp. And where this rock is swampy. And where this rock is, I know you can't see it on the video. I apologize for my video production skills. Outside of the liner, there's water running out right there. Running out here. So this is all swamp. All running out here. So we've got it, I think you can kind of see it bubbling right there, pouring out. So I'm going to fix that, and you can do this too if you run into it. You don't need me. I'm happy to come do it. It's not necessary. You just lift the liner up. I've already done it. Well, I'll do a better job once we get off the phone, but all the way up there. Leak, 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 leak. Once we get off the phone, I'll get this whole area fixed. Lift up, put rocks back in place. Leak right there too. You probably have noticed this because as I walk down the path, wet, wet, very wet, and here's where all of the water is collecting, running across your path here. And then I'm sure you know about that. So it just becomes very swampy down there, and it is absolutely because of that plate in the liner. So I'll get that squared away. But the moral of that story is, once I get that done, I'll look the rest of it over, make sure there's no other leaks that stand out. There might be one right there, but I'll check the rest of it out, make sure there's no other leaks. And then that ruler, I need to know tomorrow or the next day what it's at on the ruler, what number is exposed at the water level, and it can be within 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be exact, but take a look at it. You can take a picture of it if you can zoom in, but I'll zoom in here. There it is. That's as far as I can get. So it's about 11 3/4 inches. I'll figure out in my email later how much water that actually is, but take a picture of that please and send it to me. And then I will tell you how much of the dechlorinator removes chlorine. Dechlorinator. Once you tell me where that ruler is, I will tell you how much of the dechlorinator to add over what period of time, and it'll be something like every week add 8 ounces or something like that. But once we have a reading on that ruler, you can come back over here, and your water's going to be a lot lower probably. You can come back over here, turn this on, autofill goes back on, and close it. But once we fix that leak up there on that side of the pond, the autofill should stay off and run sporadically, but not constantly. Right now it's just running constantly and feeding all the trees down in your forest. I think that's it. I think by the time you get home, your pond is going to be very cloudy because I'm going to use a hose and I'm going to wash all of that dead algae out into the pond, and it's going to get sucked into the skimmers. I will pull as much as I can and remove it by hand, and I should be mostly successful. I can't turn my camera around the other way. I don't even know if this is showing me. I hope so. Thanks again for having me out. It's a lot of fun being here, and I love your yard, and today was a big step. Let me know about that ruler. That one right there, or wherever it is, tomorrow or the next day, so we can let it go for 24 hours. Thank you.